Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to present Duncan Crabtree-Ireland, the Chief Negotiator and National Executive Director of SAG-AFTRA.
And I am so excited to welcome Sean Astin, President of SAG-AFTRA, to this conversation about the W&W process. Sean, what are W&Ws?
Can I turn the tables and ask you a few questions?
Sure. Oh my God, that would be so fun.
Okay, so W&Ws we know are the pre-negotiation meetings where we establish our proposals that we're going to take to the employers and across the bargaining table. All right, so what in the heck are we doing with these W&Ws?
Oh my gosh, well, this is the chance for our members, any member, all of our members, to get in the room either virtually or in person and share their experience, their lived experience with these contracts, with the industry, with the work that they're doing, and also what they see coming down the road, their hopes and fears of the future, and have a conversation, all of us together, about what we're going to do about that when we get into the bargaining room next spring.
The world is unfair. People get treated poorly. And unions are a way for us together to say, like, you know what, actually there's safety in numbers. And that's something else I want to ask you. When we're in the W&W room or on the Zoom, there's a special feeling of confidentiality, of almost secrecy. I mean, can you talk about both personally for the members, but also in terms of what the companies know? Like, why is being a part of this conspiracy of collective interest? Like, what is that?
It is confidential what happens in these rooms, and it's not because we don't want to be transparent. It's the opposite. I mean, every member is invited into these rooms, right? But the companies meet also. They don't publish their strategies and plans on social media or telegraph them to us in advance. Why? Because in reality, it is a battle across the bargaining table. And I mean, you saw this firsthand in the last round of negotiations. It may be a cordial battle that's fought not with weaponry, but with other tools. But it is a pitched battle. And being strategic gives you an advantage. And this is our chance to be strategic. And so we need to have these conversations. We need to do it in a way that engages members, where members are totally part of it, they're in it, but where it does not filter back to management to give them advance warning of what we plan to do and let them try to, negate our tactics and strategies.
One of the things that gives us the most amount of leverage going into the negotiation is to know that our members are aware of what's happening, they've contributed to the discussion, and they know that they've got skin in the game. Because if we do that, if the proposals that we push across the table have been born of the experience of our members, then they are us, we are them, and they have to contend with us. And so I feel like sometimes people feel almost victimized by a process that they're not a part of. And what we're trying to say right now is actually, whether you want to or not, you are a part of this process. If you don't show up and contribute, that's how you're playing your role. And unfortunately then, you're gonna get whatever deal we're able to put together. But if you come in and contribute, that deal might be a little bit better.
And it might be a lot better. And I mean, really, if you think about it, all of our members who were part of the 2023 strike, it was hugely painful for not just our members, for so many people in the industry. But in talking to so many of our members since then, I don't think a single one of them has told me they didn't think it was worth it.
I don't want this very important moment in time. We're going to be in negotiations very soon. I don't want this important moment of time to have gone by without doing everything in my power and your power to touch them and say, like, hey, this is a place where your fellow members are. Come and be in the room. Yeah.
I mean, this is your house. I mean, that's what's so funny when people talk to you about the union or talking about SAG-AFTRA as though it's like the DMV or the government or something like that. Like, we are you. Like, the only reason this place exists is for the members.
All right. we have established off camera that neither one of us is old enough to have been around when W&W, wages and working conditions, were established.
I know, we're so youthful.
We're very young. I think it's important for everyone to know. No, but do we know how it started? Do you have any? I've heard it didn't always exist. These things are constitutional, right?
They are now, yes. They weren't always. I mean, really, they were formalized as part of the joint bargaining process that was created between then Screen Actors Guild and then AFTRA, which was called Phase 1. It was actually meant to be the first part of a merger process.
I've read that document.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that, it was very much formalized there because obviously there were two separate unions and they had to work together in bargaining and in preparing for bargaining. And so while the bones of the process developed earlier than that, it really got formalized around those joint union processes.
Like, what's the concept of W&W? So why did they develop this in early days?
Well, I think just so that there would be grassroots process to make sure there would be grassroots influence and perspective taken into account in formulating important bargaining proposals, demands, packages, because obviously the union leadership, especially in this union, is highly representative of the members. But even if you're an excellent representative of the members, you can't have had every experience that every member's had.
My imagination says that in the earlier days of running and managing the union, there weren't that many people involved. The board wasn't as big, and the idea that you'd have a group of people interacting with each other, trying to guess at what the membership's experience was, guess at what their needs were. I mean, I sort of assume that in every cycle, people know you want to deal with wages, you want to try and make sure residuals or whatever. There's certain basic things are going to be a part of it. But I think they were like, you know what we need to do? We should actually go out to the membership. And you're like, there's 80,000 people. How do you go out to 80,000 people, like man on the street interviews? Like, hi, what was your experience with that? Hi, what did you really get?
And this is pre-social media, pre-internet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was not that long ago that our boards met separately. Parts of the board met separately in different parts of the country and exchanged via written documents their actions to be considered by other parts of the board. I mean, a lot of us, I think, tend to forget that a lot of this was built in a time when it wasn't instant access to information, and there wasn't, this sort of everyone has a direct line of input. And so this was formalizing that and making sure that all of our members had the chance to really.
Well, I like that idea that they realized it wasn't appropriate for them to be making decisions about what to negotiate about without any input from the members. We're trying to capture what the real will is of the members. Yes. And do you think that's happening yet, really, truly?
I do think it's happening, but I think any member who has looked at the contract that came out of the 2023 negotiations and felt like it didn't happen, or prior negotiations, that is your cue to come to W&W, because if it's not representative, the only way we'll know is by you showing up and speaking out, because we're not psychic. We can't tell what's in your head if you don't tell us.
I don't think that many working performers, people who are fortunate enough and working hard enough to be gainfully employed in this industry right now, think in terms of what's going wrong. Think in terms of oh, my meal penalty didn't get paid on time. Oh, that somebody asked me to do to waive my forced call. Oh, I didn't know, all the kinds of things that we talk about. Oh, I didn't know if I qualified for a pension credit, or am I ready for my pension? They I think they're busy thinking about how to get the next job and how to do their job.
Or the job they're doing, the work, that's what people really want to be focused on. If for whatever reason you can't make it to a W&W, that doesn't mean you can't contribute to the process. You can write your thoughts down in an email and send it to tvth2026@sagaftra.org.
TVTH, which stands for TV and then theatrical. TVTH
2026
at
SAGAFTRA.org.
It's right here on the
bottom. Will someone read it?
Well, almost cursed. I will personally read every single one, because if you ask...
I knew you were going to say that without even knowing that you were going to say that, because you are voracious in reading this
here's
stuff,
another one. What I love about W&Ws is it's formalized and it's structured. so people can come into the environment and learn, like, there's a way we talk and there's a way you share your experience where you're really heard and people are respectful of you. And now we're going to try and find through the process, how do we do something about the problem you're having? Like, I like the formality of it, but I think some people don't. And I wish there was some way to have a conversation with those people where you could be like, hey, did you get picked up on time at your hotel if you're on location? Hey, when you showed up, like, where was your parking? Did you get the per diem you need? What was your agent experience like? Did your agent let you know what was going on with the contract? Were you surprised by something? Were you disappointed when you realized something was the way it was with advance pay of residuals and stuff like that? Like, how can you start a conversation with people where they'll begin to reflect on stuff that isn't right?
Well, I think that's what this is. I mean, I think that's what this does, and that's one of the reasons why it's important. It's not a one and done kind of process, right? I mean, there are many meetings. I think in 2023 there were over 60 meetings that happened, right? And many of them, members come to them many times. And I think that's important because it gives people a chance to reflect on that. And it also means that each person can make that call for themselves. Like, what is important enough that I've experienced in the last couple of years that I want to mention it at the W&W? You know, and if one time something happened that wasn't that big of a deal and I don't really want to make an issue out of it, that's fine. But if there's something that's happening a lot, even if it's little, or if there's something that only happened once but it's a big deal, those are the kind of things that I've seen people bring forward. And then if they hear 10 other people say, oh yeah, that happened to me too, and it was a problem, now we're cooking with gas.
Why? Why should somebody do it? Practically, you're the chief negotiator. Ladies and gentlemen, Duncan, Crabtree-Ireland, the national executive director and chief negotiator. And I'm chairing the TV theatrical streaming negotiation. So I'm asking you to please tell our members why they should come to this.
There's a lot of reasons, but let's start with self-interest, right? Fundamentally, if you care about the future of your career, and you want to make sure that your voice is heard, this is the moment to do it, right? You actually can come and influence the direction that the negotiations take.
Really?
Really.
They can really influence it?
They really
How?
can. Last time, in 2023, we had over 200 proposals that came out of the W&W process. There were proposals that ended up in our final proposal package that were proposed by members at large who came into these meetings.
A month from now, a group of people who have been elected, appointed, and confirmed by the board are going to be sitting in a room, going through a list of things, and at a certain point, they're going to get to yours. They're going to get to the one that says you should get a bigger penalty if they pay you late. And everyone's going to talk about it.
I mean, Sean, just think about what was accomplished in the 2023 negotiations. I mean, not only AI, right? Started from a blank slate, now we've got 16 pages of protections, and it's just the starting point. But so much improvement on streaming compensation, increases, really big increases in the minimums, and we broke the pattern. We broke this bargaining pattern that's existed for 20 years. Plus, so many things were accomplished, and all of it started in the W&W process. So anyone who doubts that their participation can make a difference, just take a look. Like, you don't have to look far. Just look at 2023.
What I want to do is eliminate the doubt and have as many people as possible come and express their interest so that when we're debating how to prioritize and how big a package to push across the table, we're doing it from a position of strength and really at the direction of the members.
Yeah, of course. Right. I mean, that's the wellspring of everything. Yeah. And I think that's something else that aligns with what we're doing here is we are bringing together this incredibly diverse group of creative, talented people who, when they all contribute into this process, gives us the best possible picture of what we need to see coming out the other side.
I would say that these meetings are the beneficiaries of all the meetings that have come before it because they seem like they're pretty well run. They seem like there's momentum to them. You know, whenever you get into a union context, it's a little bit like, you know, how long is this going to take? But I feel like
longer than you think, most likely.
Yeah. Well, but you know, they're
but for good reason.
They're highlighting when the issues that are important to you are there, so you can come during your segments or whatever.
Right.
So unless you're like me me and you're just curious about every single thing and you want to know everything all the time.
You really are curious about every single thing. It's not just a saying. I can attest to this.
Well, I have a new thought about that.
I love that.
too.
I love that.
Thank you very much for letting me turn the tables on and at least for most of this session interview you. I think.
Oh my God, no. I mean, this has been so fun. And thank you, Sean, for being part of this. I mean, first of all, I'm so excited for us to do this together as we, work our way towards the big day at the bargaining table, but also to have this conversation and to share these thoughts with members. I hope it inspires some people to come out to the W&Ws, and thank you for taking such a strong leadership position to do that.
Thank you, Duncan. You too.